Welcome to Jewish Boy Calls His Mother. I'm your host, Sadia. This is Mother Ema.
It is.
Hello, Ema. How was your week?
Baruch Hashem. It's been quite amazing. I'm in Corvallis, Oregon, with your brother,
Nice.
and very, very interesting, very lovely Shavuos program that he had. He's the Shliach Kushino here in Corvallis, and he had a really nice program where it was an outside brunch and with the Torah reading.
Nice. So
And it was a nice turnout. A lot of students. Today is a big weekend here. They're having at the University of Oregon's having their graduation, and you see, we were just at Trader Joe's. Boy, it was so crowded, and the man behind the cash register was saying it was so crowded because of all the people that have come up from out of town for the graduations.
oh wow. I didn't realize it was such a college town.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Out of curiosity, so did you celebrate Shavuos when you were a kid?
Really, I mean, we went to shul. We took off to school. We went to shul, maybe, but we didn't. I once heard this rabbi on Chabad.org say that Shavuos is one of the least understood of the Yomim Tovim, and it's true, especially among the non-religious. They really don't know the significance of it.
Interesting.
And important is, I didn't know Shavuos was such an important holiday. I really didn't. I thought it was, when I was growing up, I thought it was something on the level of maybe Hanukkah or Purim or whatever. You know what I mean? I didn't realize it was an actual serious holiday or, observance.
When did you celebrate Shavuos like the first time in your life? Like really, really celebrate it?
The first year I became from in 1974.
Okay. Any significance, any experience that you had?
That it was really nice. It was staying up the whole night learning. Then, being younger, I stayed up the whole night learning. Can't do that too much anymore now. But and then in the morning, they would daven very early shacharis, and they would have the milcha meal. It was very nice. They had lasagna. The people I stayed with had lasagna and cheesecake and all sorts of milcha goodies. And then everybody would go to sleep, and then we would wake up a few hours later and then have the fleshika meals. And the most memorable Shavuos I had was my first year in Crown Heights. How Machon Chana had speakers like around the clock, and I remember around had to be about 5 o'clock in the morning, maybe, when it was finished, and we were all going back to our apartments. I remember walking back to my apartment with some other girls and seeing the sunrise in the New York sky, and the sky was purple.
Oh
It was
wow.
very beautiful. I had never seen like an early morning sunrise like that before.
So it's because I always think about when I was younger, and I used to do this thing with my friends called shul hopping, where you start off in one shul and you move on to another and another, and it was just a lot of fun. I had a great time, and we usually wind up in this one shul where everyone goes to this like one cheer or class or whatnot, and it was just really enjoyable. And I just keep thinking of those times because like I went to shul this year and I stayed up to like 2 o'clock in the morning. I was just too exhausted for the week. I had to go. I knew if I stayed up later to like 7 o'clock in the morning, I would just been really messed over.
I know. I remember when your father and I came to that point in our life, like around middle age, where your father said to me, "I can't stay up all night anymore. I just can't."
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it was way too much. I mean, I'm still tired, honestly, because my day at work starts at 6.
Mm-hmm.
So like I gotta get up at like 5, and Yontif wasn't over till like 9:23, so I didn't go to bed till like 10 something. So like it is what it is, but it was that challenge. But how else are you? How are words? How are you enjoying Corvallis? How are you? What else? What sites are you seeing?
Very much. When we went to earlier this morning, we went to what's called the Rose Garden,
Mm-hmm.
It's this beautiful. It's in a park, a public park. It's this beautiful garden with walkways and flowers, just rows and rows and rows of beautiful flowers, and for people just to walk around and enjoy. The weather here in Corvallis is, well, during the winter time and most of the year it's kind of balmy. I mean, very suddenly snows, very suddenly. But this past winter, evidently, they had an unusual frost.
Hmm.
They had like an ice storm, which is very unusual for Oregon. And this lady who is this family, this who's friendly with Menachem and his wife. Last year when I was here on Hanukkah time, when I visited her, she had this lovely, lovely house that was on the side of a mountain. Very mountainous here, by the way. Mountains are beautiful. You see them in the distance; they're lovely. So I said, so she invited us to come over her house, God willing, Sunday. I said, "Oh, I remember your beautiful house." She goes, "Well, no more." I go, "What do you mean no more? What happened? You moved?" She said they had this very heavy um, ice storm, and this huge tree, like this huge spruce tree, gigantic tree, was so covered with ice, the whole tree fell over on her house.
Wow.
So thank God nobody hurt. But she said she had a half an hour to run and pick up important papers and money and their passport and get out before more of the house would come crashing down from the tree. So right now they're in an apartment, well, as they're awaiting the insurance settlement and God willing going to rebuild their house.
Oh gosh.
Mm. But the weather right now in Oregon, I mean this part in Corvallis, this part of Oregon, is it's been dry and it's been very sunny, and it's been in the 70s. It's really pretty.
So out of curiosity, then, I guess what kind of I don't know. Sorry, I'm tired from a long week. I had such a long week. As I was at work, taking care of stuff, getting acclimated, getting things going, and then right when I'm starting to get things going, Shavuos was in the middle of the week, and then Shavuos, it's like I love Shavuos, but the problem is that staying up all night screws up the rest of my schedule. And then now I'm still playing catch up, and I am exhausted, and I want to just do this podcast, and I'm just trying to like get things going, and I'm just like moving slowly because we tried to do this earlier, but because of the baby, it was we couldn't coordinate. So now we finally have time.
I
So it's
remember one
just
time your father coming home when Yehuda was like a few months old, and it was Erev Shabbos and the house was a mess. He said, "Why didn't you, how come things aren't done? Nothing's cooked. The house is a mess." And I was holding Yehuda. I said, "He wouldn't let me." And your father says, "He's a 3-month-old baby. What do you mean he wouldn't let you?"
it's honestly like when the time that I was like not working and taking care of Zalmi while Ruthie was sleeping, like or was working, it was just like I understood. I get it where you have stay-at-home moms where it's just like you can't really go ahead and clean up the house. You need to pay attention to the kid. You need to pay attention to what's going on, and that's the other thing. It's just it's so like it's time, it's worth it for sure, but it's very time consuming, extremely time consuming.
That's the way babies are. And the funny thing is, we were all that age at one time.
Yeah.
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 That's funny.
What
Why don't we remember?
Well, because you don't really develop your brain doesn't like understand like what's going on until the age of like 3, I think. You good?
The Menachem just came. Oh, here's your drink. Okay. No, we're in the car. Yeah, he just came
Okay.
back.
All right. So you're in the car when he was running
That's
errands?
one thing I want to remark about when I went to Trader Joe's here
Trader's
in
Joe?
yeah, like you said, we've been up a couple nights ago. Trader Joe's. I
Yeah.
can't get over how friendly the cashier and the clerks and everybody are. They greet you. They say hi. They make small talk as you're checking out.
Yeah, it's West Coast friendly.
Yeah. But I must admit though, the spirit of the old West, the Wild West is still alive here on the West Coast.
What do you mean?
I've met some people, let's put it this way, with some very interesting lifestyles.
Yeah. Wild Wild West.
Should I talk about your friend? Okay, no? No, okay, I won't say it.
Yeah, good job, you. Thank you for asking before you blast something on the internet. That's good. That's called progress. I really appreciate it. Before you tell the entire freaking world what's going on, you stop, you ask permission, which is the right thing to do. It is the right thing to do.
It's never too late to learn social niceties.
So let's start off, I guess, with some simple softball questions. What's a huge waste of money, but people keep buying it?
Oh God, that is funny. Menachem, what do you think? What's a huge waste of money, but people keep buying it?
Random, like sugared items.
Okay, Menachem says random sugared items.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Oh my gosh, I need that.
I'll tell you the truth. In general, I find that a lot of commercial snack items, I can understand, really don't need the high level or salt that they put into it. They really don't. I mean, I got a potato chips. I don't like totally salt, saltless potatoes, whatever. But okay, a little bit of salt, yes, but most of them have way too much salt. It's not necessary. Or like a lot of like this drink that your brother bought at Trader Joe's. This drink was delicious. It had just the right amount of sweetness, and it didn't have not one drop of sugar in it. It was fruit juice. It was all the natural sweetness from the fruits themselves, without any added sugar, and it was perfect.
It's fruit sugar, fructose is like still a high concentrated, issue with sugar. It's like when it comes to like having orange juice and apple juice, you really should cut it with water because it's very condensed sugar.
But
I can't. Hello? Sorry, I can't hear you right now. You're in a very low a low signal area. The bandwidth is very low, so I can't hear you. You might have some good points, but it's all getting lost in the ether. Try this week. We really tried. I'm tired.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I guess you can't hear me now.
I can hear you now.
You're not responding.
I'm responding. Dear. You're not picking up the response because this connection's a train wreck, but it's okay. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You're frozen though.
I'm frozen.
Your video's frozen.
My video's frozen.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Yeah. This is just not working out. What time?
I guess God didn't want it to work out.
Yeah, this podcast episode's going to shit. I'm just gonna go ahead and call it a loss. I'm calling a loss. I can't film any of this, do any of this stuff. Enjoy your time in Corvallis. I'll talk to you. Maybe we'll do something next week, God willing. Okay.
Okay, sweetheart. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I love you.
What? You can hear me now, right? Or am I still frozen?
Yeah, I can hear you, but you're banned. Oh, we're back on track. Okay, we're good. We're good. Oh,
well, if my face was frozen, was it at least at a nice angle so I look good?
Yes, you look fantastic, Emma. Absolutely gorgeous. 100%. 10 out of 10. Yeah. Oh gosh. So you see, like Corvallis, it's nice.
Oh, it is.
Good.
It's very, very, and something like, as far as like Yiddishkeit goes, I can tell that there's a lot of potential here.
Mm-hmm. So,
I can see like the number of students that showed up for the Torah reading.
oh wow.
And for many of them, I mean, some of them, attended Reformed temples where, yeah, there's a Torah reading, but for many of them, this was like their first real Orthodox Torah reading.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Do you notice anyone specifically, or like just different, I guess,
Well, there was this one boy who I had a very interesting conversation with. He's from Florida,
mm,
and I think right outside. I think he's from Ventura, whatever. And anyway, and so I asked him, why are you, when there's so many universities on the East Coast that are
Mhm.
closer, why are you way out here in Corvallis, Oregon? He says this was the only college he found that offered a degree of all things, get this, conservation and forestry.
interesting.
I said, what? I said, that is, he was telling me about it, that basically it's learning how to, so I was joking around. I said, are you going to be a lumberjack? He says,
Yeah, with the
actually, he has to, they part of their training is they have to take a course in different species of trees and how to cut them down, the proper way to cut them down. With
Okay.
each species of tree, there's a specific way you have to cut it down. And then he was telling me that he's also learning like forest conservation, like how to preserve the forest in a safe way. And like everyone knows, the logging industry, that basically the logging industry helps the forest in that they cut down like every third tree, and then they clean up the underbrush underneath. They clean up all the ground, so that if the forest fire begins, it doesn't spread as quickly, because the underbrush is all cleaned up, so there's nothing to burn, and the fire cannot jump as quickly from tree to tree. So all these, we're talking about like these tree huggers that, especially in Southern California, that have basically run the lumber industry out of Southern California. And what the result was, this happened in the 90s, late 90s. The result was a whole rash of horrible, devastating forest fires. And so he was saying that these tree huggers, you might want to say, these crazy kids or people that that think that the logging industry is evil and they should be out. He says these people are not real conservationists. They're just activists who don't know what they're doing. They don't have real information. So, and he was telling me part of his training is also going to be as a forestry firefighter.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he says he's in a class. He says they have to learn how to hike through the woods. They have to learn how to actually be trained to fight forest fires as part of his degree, as part of his training. And he was telling me how rigorous it is. So I said, do you have any girls? They're going through this training too. I mean, it means carrying like a 40-pound field pack on your back and walking through the woods for miles and miles. He goes, yeah, as a matter of fact, they do have a couple girls that have gone in for this. And I said, how are they doing? He goes, surprisingly well.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Did you ever want to be a lumberjack?
Oh, he's a
Lumberjack, and he's okay. Sleeps all night and he works
Maybe
all
works
day.
by day.
Did you
That's
actually? I'm
seven
curious,
kids.
Ema. I'm curious. Did you ever have like a major, or a course, or a degree, or a job that you were interested in, but you felt because you were a woman you couldn't do it?
No, not in my day and age. No.
Like,
well, the only thing was
okay.
that when I was applying for college in those days, this was in the 1960s. Hopkins was still all male. Hopkins,
Yeah.
Harvard, Yale, forget it. No girls could apply.
Mhm.
There was Air Force Academy also was closed to women. Naval Academy, nope. Naval Academy was closed to women. And when I tell this to young women now that are applying to various, colleges and universities, and when I tell them about my day and age and give the list of what I just gave you, their mouths just drop open like, what are you talking about? Is this is this the same planet? They can't imagine. There was a time when all these universities and schools were closed to women.
So if they weren't close to women at the time, would you be still interested in joining them? Like Naval Academy and things like that?
Well, no, something, I think I might have thought in terms of maybe Air Force Academy, Naval Academy, something like that. I think I might have thought more in terms of that. Yeah.
So like, I guess, would you want to be
Mm.
in the military, maybe?
There was a time that I was thinking about that. I was considering it.
Like just would you want Navy, Army, Marines?
Actually, there was a time when I had just come back from Washington participating in a peace rally,
Yeah.
and I come into the door and I'm wearing my peace buttons, over me, with these big peace buttons. And my father is holding a letter and he's got this big smirky smile on his face. And he said, "Did you join the Marines?" I go, "Did I what?"
Oh
He
yeah,
goes,
we talked about this. Yeah.
yeah. So there was this guy in my college when I mentioned the incident to him about, he said to me, I think you ought to apply." I go, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, I think you'd be a terrific woman Marine."
Yeah.
Well, the training for the women Marines, I was reading a pamphlet that was on display at my college about the different armed forces and the training involved for women.
Yeah.
And I noticed of the uniforms. Well, I saw this also in a magazine that showed the different branches of the armed forces with the women's the women's auxiliary of that armed force standing. They had a modeling the
Yeah.
uniform. The nicest uniform was the Marine uniform.
Oh really?
I thought it was the most attractive. And I was reading about the training for a woman Marine. It was a course it was almost like being a model. It was how to walk, how to talk,
Like it ain't no
application of
thing.
makeup, hairstyle.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost like a course, like a beauty course more than a military course. Of course, I'm sure it's very different now.
Probably is. Probably is.
I mean, they did get some training in rifle, firing, of course, and firing a gun, but it wasn't the rigorous basic training that, of course, that the men got, obviously.
Yeah. Okay. Did you have any friends that joined the military or went through Vietnam?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I did. This young man that I was friends with, he got drafted and went to Vietnam, and he would send home. He would send. I remember he sent home these tape recordings to his family and at that time he was dating this girl in high school that I was friends with. And I remember we all went to his house. I remember us sitting around the tape recorder listening to the tapes he sent, talking about his basic training. And then many years later, I had an occasion to see him at one of the, I think it was the American Jewish Fair. And after he finished his time in Vietnam, he organized a social group of Jewish. Well, they always had Jewish war veterans. They always had that organization, but he organized a special group of Jewish war veterans, specifically with young Jewish men that were coming back from Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
And he became like one of these, not an activist, but he became one of these, I guess he became very active in the Jewish social and support world of organizing social events and support groups for Jewish Vietnam vets.
So out of curiosity, I mean, so that was one friend of yours. Did you have
Mhm.
any friends or colleagues that like went in, had to, go to Vietnam, didn't want to go?
Oh, nobody wanted to go.
Okay.
Very few people wanted to go. Very few people, because it was what this one young man was arguing with his parents, and what he was so upset about, he says, I remember him at the dinner table arguing with his parents about going to Vietnam, and he was doing everything he could, of course, to get out of it, like keeping his student deferment as long as he could. And he said these politicians are playing chess with our lives.
Hmm.
A lot of people had their suspicions about the Vietnam War because it was never a declared war. You had a lot of communist sympathizers among the Vietnamese people. You didn't know who the enemy was. They could be anywhere. They could plant a bomb right into where you're sitting. They could be a Vietnamese citizen who pretends to be your friend, and the next minute pulls out a knife and stabs you. You didn't know where they were or who they were, and it was called a police action.
Oh yeah.
And this is what people didn't like, and that it wasn't a really officially declared war. There was the Diem regime that was in charge of South Vietnam, was just as dictatorial and bloodthirsty as the communists.
Hmm.
So it's like, you're wondering like which side is better.
Yeah.
Now the sad thing is that it came out much later that we could have won the war, obviously, but that the politicians, whatever game they were playing, for what reasons, who knows, probably, I'm sure there was money under the table that was being, passed around, would tell the troops would be on the offensive and they would be winning, and then they would be told to stop and hold their position. For what reason? Who knew? Giving the enemy an advantage in the field. Same thing with Korea. Because I remember Douglas MacArthur saying one of his problems was when he was given the order to hold his position when they were on the advance and then to retreat. He says his men asked him, why are we giving the enemy an advantage in the field? And Douglas MacArthur said he couldn't answer them. He couldn't come up with an answer. That everyone says, the reason we lost was because the politicians got involved and didn't let the generals who knew what they were doing actually fight the war the way they should have.
Wow.
But then there was this young man. I went on a few dates with this one young man who had just come back from the war in Vietnam. After a couple dates, we called it quits. The guy was like, I don't know. He was very bitter.
What do you mean?
He never smiled, never cracked a smile. Very negative. He was depressed. Today I guess we would call it PTSD.
Okay.
I mean, quite honestly, he did need to see a good therapist. He really did. But he was just very, very bitter from his experiences in the war. And I felt I can't, I'm not I'm not here to be his therapist.
No, it's right. I don't think you should. I think if you're
Yeah.
dating someone, I don't think you should try to be their therapist or them to treat you like a therapist.
Yeah.
It took me a while to understand that, because it's just like you watch movies and you see TV shows of these guys and girls talking to each other, and they're talking like the guy is always brooding or worrying about something, and the girl's always like, "Oh, tell me what's wrong, please. I have to know." And he like confesses some like horrible story, and she, heals his wounds, and they get better, and they, fall in love. And it's just like it's so funny because as a kid, you kind of have you watch these movies and TV shows, and you think like, oh, that's what life is. Even everyone else tells you like that's fake. Like I think I read an article about like up to the age of like 20 or 25, like you can't really tell the difference between what's real and what's not a lot of times. It's still like, there's some cognitive like understanding that you're just not going to get. But it's just
Well, I was reading an article once about the way the brain interprets messages.
Mhm.
And it said like, even though you tell yourself, like you see, like you'll see, you'll be watching a movie where there'll be a murder or there'll be some sort of horrible thing that'll be happening, and the brain doesn't read that as, oh, this is fake, don't worry. The brain picks it up as this is what's really happening. That's how the brain picks it up.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, what did you think when you were a kid, when you watched like TV shows or movies, and then you realized in real life it just wasn't real?
Well, I remember now as an adult, every now and then I'll go back and watch, some sort of horror movie that I saw as a kid, and I'll just sit and laugh because now as an adult I see how fake it is. And not only that, a lot of the acting in these old 1950s horror movies was not that great. Oh, with the kid, you don't understand. The kid's like, and the scene where you see the werewolf. Oh, when it shows the werewolf, me and my sisters would scream and we duck behind our seats, and oh, we were terrified. And now you see the werewolf now as an adult, you just laugh. Oh God, that is so, that costume. Who was in charge of props here? Oh, I remember, as a matter of fact, when I was in my 30s, watching the movie Haunted House on the Hill with Vincent Price. And
Okay.
as a kid seeing this movie, of course, as a kid, you take it seriously. Oh, it's so scary, so scary. As an adult watching this movie, I could see Vincent Price and the actors and actresses in the movie. They were fooling around so much. Some of the scenes, were just, some of the scenes were actually hysterical. Like there's this one scene where Vincent Price gets into this very heated argument with his wife, and he goes like this, looks at her like this, and shoots her like this, and all of a sudden he grabs her and he starts kissing her very passionately, like for a joke.
Oh, gosh.
And there's this one scene where this woman is supposed to fall into a pool of acid, and she's standing at the edge of the edge. She's going, she's screaming and screaming and screaming, and it's like, idiot, you're standing on the edge of what's supposed to be a pool of acid. Walk away from it. What are you doing? Standing there with your arms waving like a bird, going.
Yeah, well, that's again, that's what's so funny. Like I remember watching movies as a kid and just watching. I think I remember watching. It was called Sleepy Hollow. It was
Oh, I
so
think I remember seeing.
so I
Yeah.
was younger. I was watching it. And it was really scary, and then the older when I got watching, I was older. I'm like, oh, this isn't scary at all. But no, it's kind of fun. But yeah, we're coming to the end of the episode, but I guess I'm trying to think of anything interesting.
That's okay. We can just let the conversation flow.
Yeah, I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I want to go to sleep so bad. Ugh.
It's amazing. I agree. I'm finding like the vacation schedule. I mean, it's like I'm going to bed like 1, 2 in the morning, waking up at 10.
You're a night owl, Ema. You've always have been. I don't think like I remember as a kid, you'd always be downstairs like listening to talk radio while you're cleaning the dishes. And it'd be like, 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
You'd be like, oh no, it's fine, dear. You'll sleep until 7 something. Or if you had a really rough go ahead, you let us sleep in because you slept in, and then you'd lie to us and say, I let you sleep in so long, it's time to get up. Like, wait a second. You were just
Well, I used to wake you up. I found that the best time to wake you guys up was
Yeah.
7-Eleven. It was like just perfect. You know what I mean? It wasn't too late, wasn't too early. I
Mhm.
got Slurpee time. I'd come to you and go, okay, boys, Slurpee time.
Oh god. It's making me
And
tired.
then I remember when I used to, if you didn't get out of bed, I would grab your legs and pull you out. Well, you were like 17. And that's one thing a mothers have to adjust to, is realizing that their little boys now are big, muscle-bound men, a lot stronger than you. So I went to grab your feet and, oh my God, you must knock me over. I went, uh-oh, can't do that anymore.
Yeah, I think I was just so tired. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't know. I normally these episodes are really, really good and I'm really proud of them. I'm not proud of this episode. I'm not.
People might, what is it? Like the example of the movie that gets fouled up and the people that produced it are so upset and then the audience is laughing and applauding. They said it was the best comedy they ever saw.
I guess. I don't know.
You've seen those movies, haven't you? That turn out
oh,
like that.
I love watching train wreck movies. I mean, I kind of like also
Mhm.
going to these comedy shows and watching like people bomb and do terribly. Like it's just really funny. Like, I think I went to a comedy show about a year ago at
Uh-huh.
this one like small comedy store, and these people were just terrible, really eating it, like just doing a horrible job. And they're trying to do crowd work, and it just doesn't work. It just doesn't go all very well. And they're like trying to be like polite and like, oh, it's so nice. Good for you. Oh, you're here. Oh, hi, how's it going? I'm like, yeah, no, you're terrible. That's always fun to watch. A terrible thing, movie, TV show. Ah, darn it, performance.
I've had that. Yeah. I went
Yeah,
to one for Purim at our show. They had a comedian that
yeah.
came. I hate to say it, he was horrible. I don't know how he even got into the field. He was not at all funny.
It
I
kind of
don't know.
reminds. It kind of reminds me.
I don't know.
I went to a Kumsitz a long time ago, and this guy was trying to do singing and trying to do like play on his guitar, and like it was always just like one note off, just seeing everything just one note off and just one beat
Yeah.
off, and I'm like, oh god, I can't listen to this. So bad.
It's like, how on earth did they even get into this field to begin with?
They have a passion for it, and no one told them to stop.
Well, Maurice Chevalier, I was watching his biography last night. That his style of singing, where he's singing in like sing talking like that, he developed that because he couldn't keep on pitch.
Oh wow, really?
He tried to sing when he was when he was like a teenager. He tried to go into singing, and he bombed because he couldn't keep on pitch. So he developed that style of singing, talking style, like somewhere between singing and talking, that he became famous for.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, that's when it comes to Bob Dylan, it's always like that. He has that sing song way of talking where it's,
Yeah.
but his music when it's covered people do great jobs of his music. That's what I
Mhm.
find interesting. The good cover of the music.
They'll stone you when you're riding in your car. They'll stone you da 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 da. But I would not feel so alone.
Oh,
Everybody must get stoned. Yay!
yeah, my gosh. So, if you could re-listen to a song for the first time, what song would it be?
Oh gosh. I like the first song comes to mind is the Beach Boys' Great Vibrations.
Yeah,
That was a song that had a lot of musical variation within it.
really. That's surprising that you say that, because usually you hate pop music and you feel like Beach Boys was something.
Hate it.
Not
I
hate
don't
it, but
the
you don't.
music.
No. I take that back.
Mhm.
Not that you hate the music. It's just that the music genre of pop is simplistic and it's not something you find sophisticated.
But that's what's so interesting about their song. I think that's what made their song Great Vibration such a hit, because it had a lot of variation and a lot of, within the song.
Okay.
It wasn't the same melody over and over and over again.
I'm getting up good vibrations.
And then
He's
and then
giving
had
me-
and then it had all sorts of then had that organ in the middle,
Mhm.
and then it had that that reverberation type effect, and had a lot of special effects within the song, which I thought was very it was very different for the time. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad you have something that's interesting. It's nice. I'm
You're
proud of you.
interesting. Yes.
I am interesting.
I do have something interesting. You're interesting. How's that?
Ah, thank you. The most interesting.
All my kids are interesting.
I'm the most. Alrighty. I'll talk to you later. Have a wonderful
Love you,
Shabbos.
sweetheart. You
love
too.
you.
Bye bye.
All right, bye.